Guys, it's that time of the week again, back for our Championship score predictions. Let's jump into them. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Now we are really getting into the business end of the season, and results at this stage of the season can completely make all the difference. As always, do get your guys' score predictions in the comments down below and get yourself onto the prediction leaderboard. Speaking of the prediction league, here is how the main league is currently looking. Now I'm in a bit of a relegation battle at the moment. I'm 21st in the main prediction league, so I need to have a decent game week here to claw back some ground on you guys above me. League 1 is looking like this, just 8 points separating the top from bottom, so if anyone has a good game week, you can completely fly up the league. And then this is how League 2 is looking as well, so really we are getting into the final stages of the season. Most teams now just having 5 more games to play. As always, if you do go in to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, but without any further ado, let's jump into it. So let's start things out with tonight's first game. That sees Blackburn going up against Derby, a massive game in the grand scheme of things. Now Derby find themselves in that perilous position at the moment of being 21st in the Championship after some of the results we had in midweek. Now for Blackburn, they could actually have quite the influence on who ends up going down this season, because their remaining games see them going up against Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, Rotherham and Birmingham, so all playing sides who are battling it in and around the bottom 3 at the moment. When it comes to Derby, I feel like they need to score first in this game. We've seen a lot of instances with the games they've been losing where they've been losing them to nil, 1 goal to nil. Blackburn haven't exactly been sparkling lately. They've failed to score in their last 3 home matches, but saying that, Adam Armstrong back in the side now, obviously bagged the brace last time in their draw against Cardiff. For a score prediction in this one, I think it has the feeling of a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 with Derby still to be nervously looking over their shoulder. FIFA going 1-0 Blackburn. Then to our next kick-off tonight, we've got Reading going up against Cardiff. Now for Cardiff from this point onwards, the playoffs is virtually gone. It's pretty much impossible for them to make it, but Reading still have a chance, albeit a bit of an outside chance at this point in time. Now Reading just need to win as many matches between now and the end of the season. They can't afford many more draws, to be honest with you, and this is an interesting opportunity here, because should they beat Cardiff, there is the potential that Bournemouth maybe drop some points this weekend with them going to Norwich. So it's a must-win for Reading is how I see this game really. For Cardiff, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the goalkeeper situation for this game. Obviously last week we saw Alex Smithies coming back into the side replacing Dylan Phillips, and Smithies didn't exactly cover himself in glory in that 2-2 draw against Blackburn, so I'm interested to see if they make another tweak to that. But yeah, Reading simply have to win this game. I'm going to back them to do it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Cardiff throw a bit of a spanner in the works. So I'll go 2-1 Reading in this game. FIFA's going 1-0. It's a game which you feel like they need to win. Next up then, we're heading into the Saturday 12:30 kickoffs. Coming up first of all, we've got Brentford going up against Millwall. Now this should be a fascinating game. Throughout the years in the Championship, Brentford against Millwall has always been a really interesting battle, and there's never particularly been all too much in these sort of games. It's 2 contrasting styles going up against each other, and it's come at an interesting time of the season. Obviously Millwall from this point onwards don't really have anything to play for. They're just sort of playing for as strongest finish as possible really, but Brentford still have it absolutely all on their plate now. They finally managed to break that duck of consecutive draws in the Championship by absolutely hammering my side North End last time out, and it was really affected by Thomas Frank. He tweaked with the system a little bit. Fosu I thought was really good. I'd like to see him start in the games that Brentford had between now and the end of the season. I think he gives them something a little bit different, making those runs forward from midfield. Ivan Toney obviously back within the goals as well. It just looked like the Brentford that we've become accustomed to seeing throughout the season really, not this side prior who were missing a few gilt-edged chances here and there. So if they manage to continue that sort of form between now and the end of the season, then anything's possible, but Millwall will be here to stand in their way. Having said that, I'm going to back Brentford for this one. They seemed like they were really in the mood last time against Deep Down. If anyone could put a run of results together, Brentford have showed that they are that team to do that. So I'm going to go 2-0 Brentford in this game. FIFA's going to agree with me. Next up then to a local derby, it's Luton going up against Watford. Now this game is also very, very interesting. Obviously Brentford and Swansea fans will also have a keen eye on this game over the weekend. Now Luton, more than anything, will want to put in a bit of a showing for this game, because the reverse fixture earlier on in this season was really poor from Luton. I thought, Watford had it quite easy in that game, and obviously both sides are now quite different to how they were at the start of the season. But yeah, Nathan Jones will really want to get his team fired up for this one, more so to sort of like play for some pride really, and the fans, obviously this game will mean so much to them. From Watford's point of view, they've been pretty much flawless lately in the Championship. It's just 1 defeat now in their last 14 matches. matches, as they have been able to bridge that gap between Swansea and Brentford. They're scoring a lot of goals at the moment, but maybe if anything could be brought into question away from home at times, they could maybe be a little bit more guilty of not killing off some matches, but even that lately, they've still been fantastic on the road. Just to make things interesting for the promotion race, I'm going to back Luton to get a point from this one. I wouldn't be surprised, if Sarr has another wonderful game for Watford, and pound for pound, Watford maybe shouldn't have too many problems with this one. But in a local derby at the tail end of the season when the pressure's on, I'll throw out an interesting result. I'll go for a 1-1 in that game. FIFA's going 2-0 Watford. Coming up next, we're then going to the Riverside. It's Middlesbrough going up against QPR. Now, Middlesbrough have been an interesting side lately. I remember saying after their game against Preston, they beat us 2-0. I remember saying, it wasn't too long ago, this is the point of the season where I really thought they'd go and attack their next few matches. But they're now without winning their last 4 and ultimately don't really have anything to play for from here on in. The same can be said for QPR as well. Midweek was a strange performance because they looked alright against Rotherham up until the point where they scored, and then I think a bit of complacency just snuck in really, which I think a lot of the teams in mid-table at this stage of the season can probably be guilty of. When ultimately you don't have all too much to play for, that pressure to grind out and get the result isn't really upon you. So this game very much depends on which team shows up for it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win, surely because QPR on the road lately have been a little bit unreliable. So I'll go 2-1 Middlesbrough, FIFA's going 1-1. Next up then to the City Ground, we've got Forest going up against Huddersfield. Now, the relegation picture is a lot more congested than it was at the start of the week, thanks to Rotherham picking up 3 points in midweek from the couple of matches that they had. Now, Forest are a tough outfit to go up against, even with them not having all too much to play for. Chris Hughton still has them very well drilled, and the biggest sort of praise I can give Forest under Chris Hughton is it's incredibly rare that they'll concede more than 1 goal in a game, and obviously that makes it quite difficult for an opposition like Huddersfield, who they themselves defensively haven't exactly covered themselves in glory recently. Huddersfield are now without a win in their last 5 matches, so 3 points out of anywhere at the moment will be absolutely massive for any team that's in the relegation picture at this point in time. But like I say, Forest are quite a tough nut to crack at the moment. Thought they were quite unlucky last time out not to win against Bristol City. Huddersfield, we didn't expect them to get all too much from that game against Bournemouth in midweek, but for this one I'm going to go 1-0 Forest. First goal probably is quite crucial for that game. I'll go for the home side. FIFA's also going to agree with me. Next up then to Hillsborough. It's Sheffield Wednesday going up against Bristol City. Obviously I wish all the best to Wednesday manager Darren Moore at the moment, but it's two sides who I'm not particularly confident in backing either of them at this point in time. Obviously, when Wednesday got that result a couple of game weeks ago against Cardiff, putting 5 goals past them, we started to ask the question, oh my god, maybe the impossible comeback could be on from them. But the follow-up performances have been so shoddy, and from what we've sort of come to expect from Wednesday generally this season, that it's just not going to happen from here on inwards, is it? They're pretty much going to have to win every game from here till the end of the season to stand a fighting chance. They're going up against Bristol City side, who equally to Wednesday have been really quite shoddy lately. They're without a win in their last 5 matches now. If you actually look at the form table over the last 5 matches, no side has picked up fewer points than Bristol City. That lack of goals has also been a concern for them, with scoring just 1 in their last 5. Score prediction time, I'll go for a bit of a boring 0-0 draw in this one. Either side could show up for this one, but at the moment, not particularly confident with either of them. I'm going to go for a 0-0, FIFA's going 1-1. Coming up next, we then got Stoke going up against Preston. Now, I don't feel like this one's going to be the most entertaining game of the weekend, let's just say. Stoke do have a couple of threats, which I am worried about, but Stoke themselves have had a bit of a tail-off in their season, with ultimately them not having anything to play for from this point onwards. They've lost their last couple of matches now. Nick Powell's obviously going to be the main threat for Stoke. He has been in this second half of the season really their shining light. If anyone's going to create anything and cause us some problems, it could be him. Defensively, I am still a little bit concerned about North End, because apart from Everson in net, our back line hasn't exactly covered themselves in too much glory lately. Obviously, last time Brentford put 5 goals past us. Frankie McAvoy's record so far has been respectable, with 3 pretty tough games that he's been in charge for, a win, draw and a loss. Got the feeling this game may end up fizzling out into a 1-1 or a 1 goal either way, that sort of affair. From a North End fan's point of view, I really hope that Emile Reece manages to get on the score sheet sooner rather than later, because he's been getting himself into some really good areas, but he has missed some real gilt-edged chances lately. He just needs that goal to drop for him. For a score prediction, I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1. FIFA's going 1-0 Stoke. Next up then, we've got Swansea going up against Wycombe. Now, Swansea coming back into form at just the right point in the season to maybe put a little bit of pressure on Watford, who are now going into those tough fixtures themselves. Swansea back-to-back wins for them in the Championship. It was 2-0 against Wednesday in midweek. Cooper has tweaked with the system recently. They went to a fallback against Preston and have continued with that ever since, but it's since they've gone with that forward three of Lowe, AU and Routledge playing in the hole, which has worked quite well for them. Lowe especially, who's really come back into form recently, 3 goals scored now in his last 2 matches, and you feel like this game Swansea will be looking at it as another quite winnable one, really. In terms of Wycombe, they can be relegated this weekend if they were to lose this game and other results were to go against them, although it is fairly unlikely because it would be reliant on Wycombe losing, Derby and Huddersfield winning, and Birmingham also picking up points, so probably not going to be relegated this weekend, although it could potentially happen. Ainsworth's going to, keep Wycombe going until it is mathematically impossible. I'm in no doubt about that, but for a score prediction in this one, I will be going with Swansea. I'm going to go 2-0 to the home side, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Coming up next, and as the late kick-off on Saturday, we then got Norwich going up against Bournemouth. Now, this could be the weekend that Norwich seal their promotion back up to the Premier League, and I mean, it's an interesting one with this being the late kick-off actually, because if results do go Norwich's way in the earlier kick-offs, then they could already be promoted heading into this one, but maybe a little bit unlikely. That would require Brentford and Swansea to lose if Norwich were to come into this game already promoted. Obviously then Norwich may take it a little bit easier, but this game itself isn't a foregone conclusion. Bournemouth are at this point in time, the form team in the Championship. They've won their last 5 matches. Credit to Jonathan Woodgate, he's got the formula spot on at the moment, and I see this game being really quite an entertaining one actually. I'm looking forward to watching it. Bournemouth playing some nice football at the moment. Solanke scored a terrific goal in midweek. Obviously Danjuma's always electric to watch, and then with Norwich, we've got the usual suspects. Last time out, maybe not as free-flowing going forward as it has been. It was a Kieran Dowell free kick in the end which won it for them, but yeah, with the likes of Pukki, Buendia, on Cantwell as well on top form, this should be a cracker. Both teams really going for it and end-to-end stuff. Obviously Reading will have a particular keen eye on this one, hoping that Bournemouth slip up to give them a bit of ground to work on. So for a score prediction in this one, I am going to edge Norwich. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich. FIFA's going to go 2-1 Bournemouth. That one really could be an interesting one. Coming up next, we then have a huge game at the bottom of the Championship. On Sunday, it's Rotherham going up against Birmingham. Now, a win for Birmingham in this game would see them on 48 points, so would really put them in touching distance of safety then, whereby a win for Rotherham would put them into potentially just 1 point of Derby, obviously still having those 2 games in hand. So, big game whichever way you look at it. Rotherham and their relentless schedule, is going to continue from now until the end of the season. Had a couple of games in midweek, picking up 3 points from them in the end. The QPR game, really good comeback in that one from going a goal behind. Their reaction was really positive. Ladapo played a key role in that game. Coventry game, bit more frustrating, and it was interesting actually looking into Coventry's game plan from that one. A lot of their chances sort of came from second balls which had been won from like flick-ons and stuff like that, from them sending a few crosses into the box. Birmingham could thrive in those sort of situations. We all saw how good Djukovic was and effective in their game against Stoke as he bagged a brace. So yeah, maybe with Birmingham having that more recovery time heading into this one, you'd probably look a little bit more favourably on them getting the result out of this game. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Birmingham. Obviously Rotherham, with the games in hand, still have it in their own hands, but I do fancy Birmingham for this one. FIFA's going to go 1-0 Rotherham. Then for our final matchup of the weekend, we got Coventry going up against Barnsley. Now, like we mentioned it before, Coventry picking up a huge result in midweek. 1 goal was enough for all 3 points against Rotherham in the end, and I thought they executed that game plan to perfection. They're now on 45 points, so realistically, heading into these final 5 matches, you'd say that maybe 1 win and a couple draws would probably see them towards safety. So, I mean, my opinion about who's going to be getting relegated in that final relegation spot is changing week in, week out. But yeah, Coventry looking in a much stronger position after that result. Barnsley, it'll be interesting because they'll already know all of the results of the previous matches. So, say that Reading have dropped points again, maybe Bournemouth have dropped points against a tough Norwich side. Barnsley could really sense this as an opportunity to properly solidify their place in the top 6. Obviously, they've won 4 out of their last last 6 matches. It was a 2-0 win against Borough last time. Daryl DK on the score sheet once again. For a prediction in this one, I am going to edge the away side. I'm going to go 2-1 Barnsley. FIFA going 1-0 Barnsley. Well guys, there we have it. There are all my championship score predictions for what I see happening over this weekend. As always, do get your score predictions in the comments down below. Get yourself onto the prediction leaderboard. If you did go to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe for some regular championship content. As always, check out the Patreon, link to that is down below. But apart from that, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.